Hello, welcome to Marketing for Manufacturers. If you're an engineering, manufacturing or industrial business, then this is the show for you. If you want to know how to avoid the most common marketing mistakes, stop being the industry's best kept secret, and tell the world about your skills, capabilities and products and services, then listen on as David Roberts and Carl Jarvis give you the tips, tactics and strategies which work today. So here are your hosts, David Roberts and Carl Jarvis.
Hello out there. This is a special podcast for manufacturing engineers and precision engineers from JDR here. And I'm David Roberts and I'm with
Carl Jarvis.
Carl Jarvis, who is an engineer marketing expert with JDR, specifically for you guys and girls that are in manufacturing, engineering, precision engineering and anything of its like.
Yeah.
But Carl, let's kick things off because what I really love about you, and I think our listeners in this sector would love about you, is that you're one of them, aren't you, Carl?
Absolutely, yeah.
Hey, you're not just one of these fluffy marketing people like me,
Oh,
are you?
no, absolutely, yeah.
Why don't you give people a little background about you?
Good foundation in manufacturing engineering, yeah.
They're going to like you. I'm just the marketer.
Absolutely, yeah. So essentially, when I left school, I went and studied and became a fully qualified mechanical production engineer. And did my apprenticeship at Metal Close in West Bromwich. So that's probably why you can tell the accent, because I'm from Wolverhampton.
That's right.
And essentially, I studied and became basically working on special purpose machines and press tool design. So I was in the drawing office and then went into the projects department. But then after then, I started to get more interested in the commercial side of things. So I decided I wanted to go more into a sales role, but using my engineering background. So I became a proposals engineer and then a sales, internal sales, external sales, then into sales management, and then ended up working with a large American corporation towards the end of the 90s, $10 billion turnover and stuff. And essentially, I went back to university just part-time in the mid-1990s, and I did a business and finance HNC. And part of that was a marketing major. And I really started to get interested in the way that you could apply marketing to my sales work. Because in the sales area, I was working with special purpose machine builders, particularly in the, I was selling a lot of pneumatics and hydraulics equipment. So I was working with their system designers in terms of, what kind of products they needed for their machines. Did a lot of work in the potteries during the 90s, because that was when I was going through a transition period of moving into automation, because there was a lot of competition from the Far East. So they were looking to sort of like automate the machines more, and there was a lot of pneumatics and hydraulics needed for that. But then essentially, I then really wanted to develop what I learnt in marketing. So I did a lot of private study and read some of the best marketing guys in the world, studied with those, went on their courses, read their books and all that kinds of stuff. And then in 1999, I decided to go into private practice as a marketing specialist and work with SMEs. That's what I wanted to do. I really wanted to work with helping SME manufacturers and businesses in general, but particularly manufacturers because of my background, to help them to really sort of like develop their businesses in that respect.
So what was it, Carl, that you saw that these SMEs would benefit from someone who comes from an engineering background?
Yeah.
But is specialised in marketing? Because you wanted to take marketing to them, didn't you?
Yeah.
Why was it that you wanted to take marketing to these SMEs?
Well, I think it was two things really. In my book, Marketing for Manufacturers, which I wrote in 2017, what I recognised was that engineering companies and manufacturers weren't taking marketing seriously enough. So because they wasn't taking it seriously enough, they wasn't investing in it.
I think we should put a caveat there, Carl.
Yeah.
Not all.
Because
there'll be someone listening out there that says, hang about.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So the ones that have been taking it seriously,
absolutely,
thumbs up.
Yes.
Yeah. But you can still learn from this podcast.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So the ones that haven't,
yes,
need to prick their ears, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So essentially, what I saw is I'd go into these manufacturers, and in essence, they were making world-class products. They had world-class products. They had world-class engineers. They had specialist skills and all these kinds of things. And essentially, what they were just lacking was exposure, was getting that out into the marketplace, so that others would be able to sort of like find out about them. And the classic saying is, "Oh, we're the best kept secret in the market." Well, essentially, what can we do about that? Let's get you out into the marketplace so that more and more people can see what you're about and what value that you can bring and your expertise.
And of course, marketing.
Yeah.
And it's, in my view,
yeah,
especially digital marketing.
Yes.
Does that. The great thing
about
digital marketing is that it's cost effective compared to marketing. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the days where digital wasn't around or the internet.
Yes.
Because now everybody can get access to a commercial.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
You could do a real easy commercial on YouTube.
Yes.
Cost you nothing. You could do it on your own iPhone.
Yeah, absolutely.
For example.
Yeah.
You can write a blog
and
put it on your website. All that costs you is time.
Yeah.
Just two really simple examples. But now, because of digital, okay, you can do, we're doing a podcast. In the old days, we called this radio.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so digital allows any company, but in this case, we're really talking about engineering companies.
Manufacturing
to get their world-class operations and products and expertise out there.
Absolutely.
Especially digital. Would you agree, Carl?
Yeah, very much so. See, the thing is as well, is that what I tend to find is that there's a lot of value in these engineering and manufacturing companies that you could mine and tap into. So essentially, like what you're saying there, if you get a customer giving you a quick video testimonial saying how great you are and how much they enjoy working with you and what good products you've got and everything like that, then you can capture that on your iPhone. You can then upload it to your YouTube and away,
or your website, for example,
or your website, or whatever.
Almost,
and then all of a sudden, that then is broadcast to the world.
Absolutely.
And if you think about it, that just wasn't available to people 20 years ago.
No.
It's amazing to think we're sitting here today, and I think, is it the 10th anniversary of the iPhone or something like that? And you think to yourself, oh my gosh, was there life before then?
You're right. Only Star Trek.
How did we function?
Only Star Trek had that technology.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you're so right, Carl. And what we want to do with this podcast is we want to encourage this sector, especially, to rethink their marketing approach.
Yes.
And especially look at digital marketing as a real asset and a profit channel for their business going forward. An easier way of finding customers. And coming from an engineering background, as you do, where there's a history of lack of investment in marketing.
Yes.
It's very much, engineering is almost like a closed shop. In a way. You've got very big turnover companies being built on existing customers they've had for years.
Yeah.
Their network,
Yes.
of contacts,
Yes.
etc., word of mouth, etc. So for them, why invest in marketing when the work's coming to me anyway? The challenge, of course, with that is that network and those people are either leaving the industry, selling their companies, passing it on to new people who may not want to do business with you. They want to look at doing business elsewhere. Why don't we get other quotes in now? Because they've got no relationship with you. So bit by bit, their usual routes to market are shrinking.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you agree, Carl?
Well, totally, because I think that...
I know we're like-minded here, but we're talking facts.
Yeah.
And most people out there listening to us will recognise what we're saying.
Yes. Because I think two things are happening now. The first one is, as you say, when you're operating within a region or within an area or a sector, there's like there's like a fixed gene pool that I call it of like contacts that you've got and people that can recommend you and all those kinds of things. So of course you've got that, but that's now atrophying, that's shrinking. You know, people are retiring, selling the business up, and the like. Then you've got the other side of the coin, which is, and I talk about it in the book, is that change itself is changing. So if you go back, you know, you did your apprenticeship in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. A lot of what you learned then essentially would carry you through your career. Whereas, of course, what's happening today is kids that are actually starting their apprenticeship 5 years later, what they actually learned at the start has now actually changed. So it's out of date within that learning zone, as it were, let alone the career and everything that sort of follows. So I think what's happening now is that's being transferred to the digital, well, the marketing space, as it were, which is being fueled by the digital marketing revolution. And for me, what's happening is that the change that's happening is now exponential from a marketing perspective. What you can do with digital marketing, the technology behind it, the platforms that are available, and all the rest of it. So, of course, what people don't realize is that gap is widening at an accelerated rate between the old word of mouth, you know, we know everyone in this industry, you know, we know we know everyone you need to know, and all that kinds of stuff.
Absolutely.
So compared to the actual changes taking place, which is actually sort of going up now at a rate that's almost like unimaginable in the last 10 years.
But I don't blame these business owners for falling out of love or not investing in marketing, because over the years, they would have heard people saying things like, I can get you on the top of Google.
Oh, yeah.
That's the biggest one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they would have, some company owners or leaders listening to this podcast would say, well, we've tried SEO.
Yeah.
We've tried this, we've tried that with this company.
Yeah.
And none of it has worked.
Yeah.
So why should we throw good money after bad?
Yeah.
That's what they're screaming at us right now.
And I think what's interesting about that is that one of the top 5 reasons for business failure is poor and inconsistent marketing. What tends to happen is they fall into the trap of just doing things in a fragmented way. So they'll try something with a website and that doesn't work. So they'll try something with a new brochure, or they'll try something with an exhibition stand. They'll just do it once. And what can happen then is you fall into this false bias that marketing itself doesn't work, whereas what it was just poor implementation. And I mean that in terms of the fragmented nature of what they've done.
Either by the owner or somebody they've trusted and spent money with to come in and grow their marketing for them. And they've been disappointed by that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, you know, so I completely understand why they're feeling marketing, we tried that doesn't work, you know. So I think for me, it is then about looking and saying, well, okay then, what we need to do, we need to look at our marketing in a holistic context. And also we need to put an asset, because marketing is an asset on the business, particularly with the automation that you can get nowadays through digital marketing, to be able to say, okay, then we need this superior, consistent marketing, because that's what's going to make the difference rather than poor and inconsistent marketing.
Absolutely. And of course,
and digital can give you that consistency and that superiority.
Absolutely, and very cost effectively, really.
Oh, absolutely,
compared to the cost of sometimes salesmen. How many times I've heard companies, I'm going to recruit a salesman. They've got them 2 years, have paid them salary, and they haven't brought in what they should bring in.
Absolutely.
Or they bring in a salesperson that has his own, I've got my list of contacts. The only challenge is that when he goes, or she, they take those contacts with them to the next one.
Absolutely.
So if they can build their own consistent channel.
Yes,
a predictable inquiries like you're talking about.
Yes.
How much better would that be for the business? But in order to do that, they've got to stop mixing up marketing and sales, haven't they?
Classic stuff, Dave.
Yeah. You know, they get them mixed up now. There'll be people listening to us go, no, we don't.
Yeah.
But they do.
Sales, that's just sort of marketing with a few bells on it.
That's right. Or isn't that what someone with a shiny suit, flash car?
That's it, yeah.
What they want is leads that they can convert.
Quality leads that they can convert. Absolutely.
That's what they want, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a marketing function.
Yes.
Sales function, is when you've got somebody, doesn't have to be a shiny suit, or something that converts that lead into a customer. You need the two working side by side.
Yes.
Unfortunately, in so many engineering manufacturing companies, they just want leads without really investing in the marketing.
Yes.
But what they're not getting, in my view, and this is where I'm going to get a bit opinionated, word of mouth is marketing.
Yes. It is.
When you ring up an existing customer, say, have you got any more business for me?
Yeah.
That's marketing.
Yeah.
Yes? Etc.
There's a speculative element to it.
Referral is marketing. Yeah, absolutely. They are.
But you're being proactive. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm talking over you. Go on.
It's all right. No, So you're being proactive, aren't you? So I think, as you say, that's one of the classics I tend to find. You see, I'll go into a company and they'll say, I'm the sales director, but I do the marketing as well. Or they're the sales and marketing director. But they don't understand marketing. They've got no experience in it particularly. They've got no
particularly digital.
And they certainly haven't got anything on in the digital space. And I think that so it's kind of an unfair position to put someone in. Really, they don't quite know where to put this hot potato called marketing, so we'll just throw it in at the sales manager or the salesperson. Or essentially somebody that's fairly junior in the organisation. But I think what's the classic then as well is that the sales and the marketing, at the end of the day, a lot of these say to me, if you put me in front of the right kind of prospect, I can definitely make a sale. We've got great product, we've got great expertise, we've got great engineers, we know our stuff, we've been doing it for years. We can sell somebody. But the missing link is putting them in front of that qualified prospect. And that's where great marketing makes the difference. Because, and you know what, to a certain extent, that's absolutely true. They can sell. They can sell the pants off what they do. But because they got no one to sit in front of to convey that message, they're struggling with their sales.
Absolutely, Carl. And I see this time after time.
Yeah.
Where an inquiry, I've been in a business where an inquiry comes in.
Yeah.
Someone answers the phone, they answer the question, you put the phone down.
Yeah.
They don't ask any details. Of who it was that rang.
Yeah.
When are they likely to purchase a product like that?
Yeah.
Can they call them back? Can they provide them with additional information?
Yeah.
Just so that they can stay in touch with them. This is a future sale potentially.
Absolutely.
And they've gone forever.
Yeah.
And it's the same with their website.
Yes.
A lot of engineering, manufacturing, precision type companies, they have a website. They've got traffic coming to it. They've got no understanding of the traffic.
Yes.
They've got no strategy to get them to call them.
Yeah, no call to action.
Other than the telephone number and the contact
no call
page,
to action,
etc.
Yeah.
So they've lost faith with the website because the web designer said, this is going to get you business.
Yeah.
Some companies are on their 4th, 5th website and they still haven't seen much business from it, Carl.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they've lost faith, haven't they?
Yeah. And of course, what can happen is you think, so what's the cheapest website I can get away with? I've got a new website, I've got, one of the guys who works on the shop floor, his nephew's doing website design at college. We'll get him to build it, and it's like, nah.
Yeah. Would you ask the marketing apprentice in the corner to show one of your top customers around your 200 grand machine?
Absolutely.
And when you do that with your business, that's what you do with your website. when you don't invest the right time and the right expertise in
You
it.
see, the thing is that it's the strategy around the website that's really important. And also, the thing for me is asking the right question. So what a lot of manufacturers do is they ask a question about the wrong answer. So I'll give you an example. So they'll ring up a website company and they'll say, do you do websites? And the company will answer with complete integrity, yes, we do, right? And they'll say, okay, so how much are they? Well, there's the starter pack, that's 1,000. There's the intermediate 2,000, and there's the top one, 4,000, should we say? Yeah. And I say, oh, we'll go for the £2,000 one. But that's the answer to the wrong question. Yeah. So what they really should be doing is we've been thinking about increasing our customers. We want more customers, right? And we've considered that maybe a website could help us to achieve that goal. Could you come and show us how a website could help us to achieve that goal? Because that's the outcome that they're trying to perceive, not a website. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
100%.
But because they asked the wrong question, before they knew it, they was off down a track which has took them miles away from where they actually were intending to get to, as in terms of an outcome or a result. And by then, they've done it. It hasn't worked, and they've gone, yeah, we spent £2,000 on that website 2 years ago. Absolutely nothing from it.
Absolutely. And
they're caught in that trap again of,
absolutely,
marketing doesn't work, website, digital doesn't work for us.
Yeah. But I can understand them falling into that trap.
Oh, totally. Yeah? It's so easy to do it.
So it takes people like you,
yes,
and I, to first educate our engineering companies, etc. And why they should be investing in marketing. Let's just really center on this for a moment. One of the biggest reasons for you and I doing this podcast is because this is a sector that is slowly suffering from a lack of inquiries with a lot of companies out there and a lack of growth and shrinking profit margins.
Absolutely, yeah.
And one of the biggest reasons is because they don't invest in marketing. Yeah. So we're trying to be helpful, aren't we, Carl?
Oh, totally. I mean, the only reason I'm doing this podcast is ultimately I want to educate those business owners that have a manufacturing company, have an engineering company. I want to get them to start thinking about this in a different context and also inspire them to want to say, you know what, we should do something about our marketing because it is going to be the linchpin, the catalyst to the future development and growth of our business,
And if nothing else, this last 12 months...
If you do it properly.
Yeah, if you do it properly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just to plug here, Carl, JDR.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, that's why I'm working with you guys.
Come talk to us, isn't it?
Talk to us. It's like, we can do something better. Because that's the classic for me is, because we're world beating, I mean, the British manufacturing is renowned the world over. Yeah, it's outstanding. It's renowned the world over. And fundamentally for me, if we can actually get and embed marketing as a natural part of any manufacturing company as an important asset, as an important investment in their business, then we know we can lift the whole of the sector.
We've seen it with manufacturers that we work with and engineers that it has done that.
Yeah, totally.
But they are world class.
Yeah.
And what I want them to be is world class leaders in their business.
Yes.
Going forward.
Yeah.
By adjusting and having an open mind.
Yes.
As to how they can take their companies going forward in this information age.
Yes.
Because as you talked about change earlier, the world is changing.
Yes.
Business is changing.
Yeah.
And it's changing at a rate of knots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can be very insular. You're very sort of insular within your own business and within your own circle of influence, if you will. That you forget that there's this other world that's going on. Just like, when you go spend time with your kids or your grandkids and they're clicking away on their iPad and you're going, oh my God, what's all this about?
Absolutely.
And yet,
absolutely.
They're just natives to it. They just see it as like, every day.
And also, for me, it's about digital's about adoption. It's
Yes.
about understanding.
Yeah.
One of the things the pandemic has done is there's going to be a lot of people listening
Yeah.
who've never heard the word Zoom
Yes.
before 12 months ago.
Absolutely.
Now, if you say Zoom,
Zoom.
yeah, you say it better than me, though, Carl. yeah, Zoom. Yeah, I like that, Carl. I'm going to do it like that in future.
Yeah.
But they know what that is now.
Yeah.
That is digital marketing.
Yes.
And it's best digital technology.
Totally, yeah.
And it's best communicating. Okay.
And it's
from
had to be
afar.
forced upon
Forced on us.
to actually start to embrace it, didn't it? Yeah.
So that's a great example of using technology in
Yeah.
your business, to keep your business going forward.
Yeah.
The other reason for this, though, Carl, once again to try and be helpful, is that it's that old adage of working on and in your business, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we get tied into operations, finance. Yeah, we find very little time
Day-to-day
for marketing.
logistical
Yeah,
management.
absolutely. And we don't work on the business, which is looking at it from a strategic perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, rather than working tactically. And that's why we get that feast and famine.
Yeah.
What was we talking about earlier, Carl? We were talking about...
Yeah, we talked about this sort of graph where you've got, production goes up, so you get busier and busier and busier, and you get to a point where you think to yourself, we better stop doing some of this marketing and sales stuff. We've got enough work on. So that goes along for a little while, and things are good, plenty of work on, and then the work starts to drop off, and you start falling into this, abyss, and you start thinking, oh my gosh, we've just lost a few orders, we've just lost a big customer, client, or whatever, or a big project's just completed and all this stuff. Oh my gosh, we better get back into doing some sales here. Get on those phones, everybody,
Now there's urgency, isn't it?
So all of a sudden there's this urgency. But of course, what happens is you fall into this, what I call the valley of death, whereby the sales and the marketing activities that you start when you're on that kind of decline, as it were, has a lag time.
That's right.
So until that lag time's passed and you've started to pick things up and you've picked a few extra customers up or you picked a few more projects up and all this at the start of that, then of course what's going to happen then is you're going to have this, chicken or feathers, famine or feast bit in the middle where you're wondering, oh my gosh, where are we going to fill this capacity? Are we going to fill this production?
And of course, that's the biggest reason, Carl, why a lot of companies, especially in this industry, go out of business. Because it's what I call the cash gap.
Yes,
because they do the work, and sometimes they have to wait 30, 60 90 days, sometimes 120 and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very typical in this industry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Before they get the money in.
Yeah.
But of course, they've paid for the materials, they've paid for the labour, they've done all those upfront costs. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, and now they wait for the money to come in. So they've got to survive.
Yeah.
And that's how they get into the valley of the death.
Yes.
Whereas if they had a predictable, sustainable way of not only bringing the next job on stream, so you're getting paid on a regular basis. Yes. That's a great way of going from...
And you create that consistency, back to that consistency again. What you got to do, you got to be doing marketing when you're absolutely rammed, when you've got no more capacity left, and you've got to continually, consistently keep that marketing going so that you flatten those curves a bit more, as Boris would say, and essentially you have a momentum so that you always sort of like filling those gaps. I'll tell you the other classic as well. I've been looking at another company, another manufacturing company, just a few weeks ago. And basically, we've looked at the turnover by customers, and it transpires that 3 of their customers are 67% of their revenues. That's real vulnerability.
Not uncommon.
Because if they lose one of those customers, they're dead in the water.
Not
Absolutely.
Uncommon, is it, Carl?
So really, when you're talking about on and in, if you're working on your business, one, you'd identify that as a massive vulnerability. And then secondly, you then start to work up plans of how we're going to mitigate that, how we're going to bring new customers on board that's going to get that down so that you've got a reasonable, because ideally what you'd want is 10 customers at 10% each and 20 customers at 5% each. because then if you lose a customer, it's a nagging inconvenience, but it's not going to sink the ship. And I think that again is another classic where people need to be working on that particular strategic issue, not caught up in what you might call the operational sales, which is the day-to-day quoting of the next job, or
And of course, then, Carl, what we like, business becomes more fun, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's not such a chore to get up in the morning.
No, absolutely.
You skip in and run into the office because you've got all that energy. You can't wait for the world.
Yeah.
I know that's utopia.
Yeah.
But let's just say you can get something like that when you resolve these challenges, can't you? Yeah, you can put a different feel to your company.
If you get that consistency as well, then you can move beyond this sense of uncertainty.
Absolutely.
Every day you're coming in, what's going to happen this week? Are we going to have enough work on? Are we going to have enough? Have I got enough business to fill that capacity I've got on that new machine I bought? All these kinds of things, rather than a sense that regularly there's new leads coming in, they're well qualified, and in a sense you're getting to that space then of really feeling much more certain about the future of your business. And I'll tell you what, that's a much nicer place to be in than that uncertainty of are we going to meet payroll next month?
Yeah, absolutely. Now I must say that to anyone listening, what we're trying to do is stay away from jargon and too deep into specifics and what's best SEO or
the latest tip
or the latest shiny object. We're specifically avoiding that for this particular podcast.
Yes,
because it's not about that. No. Yes. If you sit down with somebody who knows what they're doing in this space, they will strategically point you in the right direction. Yes.
Totally.
And what we want to give the listeners today is an overview of the challenges that manufacturers and precision engineers and engineering companies face.
Yes. And
give them a ray of sunshine, a ray of hope that it doesn't have to be like this for anyone who's not invested in digital. Digital can work, marketing can work, but especially digital because it's so cost effective now. Yeah. For any business.
Yes.
You could compete with anybody on a. It's not about how big is your budget. Obviously, you need a budget.
Yes.
But you can, on a very modest budget, compete in the digital space.
Yes, absolutely.
And rather than sitting back and letting somebody come into that space because you're not fulfilling it, which I'm seeing more and more. A lot of business owners are saying, well, I've never noticed this company before.
Yes.
I never noticed this before. And it's because, come on, let's be honest, you can set your business up on an iPhone now. Yeah. One of the most inventive things I've heard of is a company, and it's happening all the time, is a company in Germany. I know we got the challenges with Brexit now and all, but they'll overcome that, I'm sure.
Yes.
Got a company in Germany, and they've got all their manufacturing processes there, but they've got 4 salespeople.
Yes.
In the UK.
Yeah.
And then what the salespeople are doing is going round, taking business, got a website.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks local, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So they're selling like any local person or resident UK would.
Yeah.
But of course, the goods are coming from Germany.
Yes.
The products coming from Germany. And you can do that with digital.
Totally.
Because people are finding them on the website, etc. And you can operate. So what we want to do is help avoid that.
Yes.
Keep them moving in the right direction. And with you having such an engineering background, you must have seen this over and over again, Carl.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Because
I think one of the things as well that let's say, for example, let's say you've got a niche product, right? Now I'll use the analogy of Belgian buns.
Yeah. Oh, I do like a Belgian bun,
especially the cherry.
Yeah. In fact, can we stop now, Carl? The bakery's only around the corner.
Let's get the Belgian buns. But the nice thing is, let's say years ago, you sold just Belgian buns and you opened a cake shop and you just sold Belgian buns. Well, that's, from a market perspective, you're very restricted and you just sell Belgian buns. So that could be very restrictive. Well, all of a sudden now, if you've got a niche product, you can open a shop to the world. Yeah. So all of a sudden, that niche is now scalable on a level that you couldn't imagine, years ago. So what you're able to do now is you're able to expose this specialist product, service, whatever it is that you've got, out to this national, international market space. And of course, digital allows you to do that, so that all of a sudden you can start pulling in customers from all over the place. But of course, that has the counter issue, which is now your competitors are exposed to that space that you're not exposed to because you're not engaging in marketing, or particularly digital marketing. So all of a sudden you're being affected by that issue. Because I've got a classic case, or a classic statement, which is, you can't stop being affected by the internet now. It doesn't matter how hard you try. Yeah. Let's build a wall around whatever it is. You can't stop. But you can't stop that effect. So that what was your domain, as it were, 20 years ago, is not the case anymore because of that. That it's not only the international, it's the national and the international exposure, but it's the ease of that exposure. Someone can just flick on a YouTube video, can watch listen to a podcast, watch a video, read a blog post, have a tour of your factory almost, in there from the comfort of their chair, particularly with all that's been happening with COVID. And so the fact that you can get all of that internal stuff out into the external space is just so powerful today that you can't ignore it.
Yeah, and you can't ignore it at any level.
Yeah,
it's always, Carl, a point of interest to me that us as small to medium-sized business owners can't learn, or don't learn enough from big business, because there's lots of learnings there from.
Absolutely.
I mean, Philip Green, yes?
Yeah.
It's, if you look at the demise of Topshop, Debenhams and the like,
yes,
amongst the causes of that was his slow adoption to the internet.
Absolutely.
He had Topshop, top man in Dubai, New York, right across the world. Yes. However, the internet, and companies that are as big as him online as he is offline, has stolen his clothes, pardon the pun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you look at any investigation as to why his empire's collapsed. I know he had a lot of debt, etc.
Yes.
But one of the biggest reasons is with his lack of adoption to the internet and the digital world. And we as small to medium-sized business owners can learn from that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the classic for me is Netflix and Blockbusters.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Tell the story for anyone that doesn't know.
As we all know, at the end of the day, there's Blockbusters, and they're in the video and DVD rental market space.
Yeah.
So they see themselves.
Of course, I'm too young to remember Blockbusters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're a video rental, we're a DVD rental. Actually, that was video rental. That was the real starting block, wasn't it? But of course, what was classic is that all of a sudden the internet was starting to develop, and streaming was starting to unfold, and all the rest of it. And there's this absolute powerhouse that could have, easily adopted the new digital delivery mechanism, as it were. But they didn't, because they saw themselves as, video people and DVD rentals. And I think one of the classics on that as well is that they used to make a lot of money out of late returns. Yeah. So of course, there is no such thing as late returns when it's done digitally. But Netflix recognised where that space was going. Obviously, initially they did this thing where you paid a monthly subscription, and they'd send you DVDs in the post. But of course, they were just building a customer base ready for when the streaming element was going to become what you might call operationally practical in terms of like download speeds and all those kinds of things. And there's Blockbusters shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. They didn't want to let go of their, late fees, because that's good money, and that is, do you know what I mean? And where are they? Dead. And where's Netflix? Absolutely huge. And not only that, but international in terms of its reach.
And the worst element of that is Netflix went to them and said, hey, why don't we combine forces.
Yeah, yeah.
And they turned that down.
Yeah, yeah.
So to anyone listening, what we're saying is that if you want to pay attention and not just see us as trying to be smart after the fact, we really are trying to be helpful.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
The digital age is absolutely going to be a major part.
I'll tell you what's happened as well, though, David. It's really important. Is that, let's say, for example, this COVID, that's accelerated that by another 5 years in the last 12 months.
Absolutely.
So, as you say, the proliferation of like Amazon, online purchasing, it's made even, the local coffee shop set up a website with an ordering system, so you could order your cakes and your coffee on there for delivery.
And that's not going to go away.
Uber Eats and all those kinds of things. So, that has absolutely pushed that forward by, again, 5 years in digital space is an exponential change in terms of
Now, I want to be clear, okay? I don't see the market disappearing for a lot of these manufacturing precision engineering companies at all. Yes?
Yeah.
What we're talking about is being relevant in this information age, being able to win new business in this information age, and being able to look after their customers in this information age and keep their customers.
Keep the customers.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because early adoption or adopting to digital and what it can do for your business is what we would 100% recommend. Because if you open your eyes and look around you, you'll see that it's having a massive effect.
Yes.
So why don't we be helpful, Carl?
Yeah.
Yes. And give our listeners, if they're still listening to the two of us from the West Midlands, going at it.
Absolutely.
Let's try and give them some useful tips.
Okay.
That they can take away, and implement in the business straight away if they want to.
Totally.
And they don't even need to speak to the likes of you and I.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
And we'd be glad for them. If they only did one of these, we know that they'll be better off.
Absolutely.
And the number one that I would say, Carl, if they did, is if they started with strategic development.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the number one for me.
Yes. Yeah.
What would you say about strategic development? What do you mean?
I've got this image that I use when I'm doing talks, and that is I've got a photograph of someone looking through a telescope, and another photograph, so two guys standing together, another one looking down a microscope. Sorry. So what the question I ask is, which method did you use to arrive at your current strategy? Was you using the telescope? Was you using the microscope? And of course, a lot of people chuckle and laugh because they go, the microscope, So what's the microscope? That's right. What's in front of you, right there, two steps ahead. So of course, that's what I call tactical thinking. Yeah. So what are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do next week, next month? Let's get this website sorted out. Let's get this this brochure done. Let's book that exhibition stand. And essentially, what they need to do, they need to pick up the telescope and have a look through the telescope and look and think about their strategy from that perspective. In fact, both has its place. But of course, the way I see this is there's too much emphasis on the microscope, not enough on the telescope. So what's a telescope? Well, a telescope's actually thinking through your business, thinking through your market, thinking through your ideal customers. Who are your ideal customers? Who are your ideal customers of the future? Where could they be? Where could you engage with them? Thinking through those simple questions about what is our area of excellence? What is our unique selling proposition? And or what could it be in the future? So a lot of the times it's asking some of those basic questions that you probably never even considered for several years. But of course, why do you need to think about strategy? Well, strategy is important because of rapid change. Because what you was doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like we were talking about with the blockbusters and everything, might not be relevant in 5 years' time. So rather than get to 5 years' time and go, oh, shoot, it's good to be thinking about this now and thinking, where's this heading? Where's this going? Where's our new markets? Where's our new particularly, if you want to go into a new sector or something, or where could this product be applied in different spaces? So one of the things that's important is to sit down and ask some of those really important questions, like, who's my ideal customer? Where's that ideal customer? Where are they going to be in the future? What could that ideal customer be relative to our skill sets and our experience and expertise? And so, if you just take the time to ask those kinds of questions. One of my favourites is the fact that I always say, tell me what you sell. And they'll say, oh, we sell this, that, and the other. And I say, now tell me what you really sell. Yeah. What does the customer really buy? Not what you think they buy. Because they don't necessarily buy what you think they're buying. Or sometimes in a lot of cases, what you think they're buying is not what they're really buying, if you get what I'm trying to say. So if you take the time to drill down on, sometimes these questions are so simple and you think, well, that's fairly obvious.
Yeah.
But as you dig into those, it starts to get you to really think.
It does. And I'm going to use an analogy. I was on a bike ride with a few friends.
Yeah.
Yes. And the three of them are women. Yes.
Yeah.
And one woman was talking about the fact, I hope she won't mind me mentioning it, that she's hoping to get to Spain. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But she hasn't got, she needs some new luggage. And her mate said to her, well, all you need is your bikini. And I thought that was brilliant because that just fits into what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most people are going just to get on the beach.
Yes, yeah.
And get that suntan, that beach experience.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not
Just
the plane
chill.
ride. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Some chill time.
Absolutely, yeah.
We won't talk
Some
about the
me
privileges. But I hope that fits in
Yeah.
because that's what you're buying, isn't it? It's the
Absolutely.
experience. Yeah.
Yes.
It's the experience at the end of it.
Yeah.
What will it give to them?
Yeah.
So no, brilliant, Carl.
Yeah.
So we got strategic development. Now, there's just another point I want to make on that.
Yeah.
Because once you've thought about it, then you got to formalize a plan.
Yes.
Now, I've just heard a load of people just get up and walk out the room now, Carl.
Plan?
What do you mean, plan?
What?
We don't need
Plan?
Oh, that's far too complicated. We don't need a plan. It's all in my head, bugger.
Yeah. It's all up here, sunshine.
Yeah. But, okay, most of them, the only time we create a plan is when we need to talk to the bank manager.
Absolutely, yeah.
As soon as he's giving us the money, that's in the bin.
In the bin.
Bottom drawer.
Yeah.
But the point is that goals that are written down get achieved.
Yes.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be, as thick as a Bible.
No.
Yeah. To have a good strategic plan
Yeah.
that you can implement in your business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for anyone that's interested, they can get in touch with us and we can really simplify that process for them. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think that what puts people off sometimes is the thought
Yeah.
of this, big elephant in the room that they try and take on all at once.
Yes.
Whereas if you take it on a bit at a time,
Yeah.
yes, it's a lot easier to deal with.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So we've got the strategic view. Now we're going. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing I want to help people with
Yeah.
is how often, Carl, have we been in a business?
Yeah.
Okay, this makes us both cringe, doesn't it? What I'm about to say. The phone rings, we get all excited.
Yeah.
Our marketing's working and
That's
inquiries come
The
in.
phone's
Yeah.
ringing.
Yeah,
the phone's
yeah,
ringing.
yeah.
Don't panic.
This is it. Yeah, this is what we've been waiting for.
Absolutely.
They answer the phone.
Yeah.
Hello? Yes, we do such.
Yeah.
Yes, an ABC company is the best at doing such.
Yeah.
And okay, well, thank you for your inquiry.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. And they've gone.
That's it,
Yeah, or worse, they've got an Excel sheet.
Who was it? Somebody say, who was it? I don't know. He didn't tell me.
Should I have asked?
Should I ask?
So, Carl, where's the problem there?
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's just.
It's incredible that happens.
It is really. It's. I suppose it's that thought process as well, where it's about the follow up, isn't it? It's about sort of capturing those details, isn't it? And really, I suppose preparing yourself for what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, what you're going to what sort of process you're going to follow. But I think funnily enough, I was working with a company where we recorded the phone calls. And there was a few phone calls on there where they'd ring in and somebody would answer the phone and say, "Hello, I want to find out some information about X, Y, and Z." And they go, "Oh, that's Bill looks after that, but he's at lunch at the moment. Can you phone back this afternoon?" Put the phone down.
This is incredible.
So capturing that information and having a process in that is just like so important.
Yeah, so you can have a follow-up process. Yeah,
absolutely. Follow-up is the classic. So they'll do a stand, and they'll have lots of people come to the stand, and then they'll take those leads back to the office, and no one gets round to ringing them back. And
they're put in a drawer. They're not stored in.
Absolutely, yeah. So for me, follow-up is so important, and I think what ties into that as well is speaking to customers. Getting back to customers, not waiting. There's this one company I was working with, and I was talking to their sales and marketing director, and I was just like saying, so do you regularly contact your customers? Do you give them a phone call and see how they're doing? They go, no, they'll give us a ring when they want something. And it's like
we're laughing because we're not laughing at anybody,
and
it's just for us. Not being able to keep constant good contact to a customer or potential customer is the lifeblood of any business. And for us, who understands marketing, we can't understand why we do, because we find it funny, because we would absolutely die if we lost that individual. That's why. I just want to make sure listeners that we're not laughing at anyone.
No, I'll tell you what I want to get across as well is that what I love about what we're doing together, myself and JDR, is sorry, I'm talking to you about you in the third person. We are JDR. Carl Jarvis. Is the measuring and management, right? Okay. So at the end of the day, manufacturers are great at measuring and managing from an operational point of view. So you understand, how many products an hour this machine will make, what the scrap levels should be expected to be, what the production scheduling should be, where the material handling is, where's a product in the machine shop at any one time or in the factory, or those kinds of things. So they're great at measuring and managing those kinds of things. But of course, from a sales and marketing point of view, if you've got great digital marketing and great technology in place in that sense, and I don't mean expensive.
No,
I just mean well thought through. Then you can measure and manage that lead generation just in the same way as you'd measure and manage your raw materials coming in, because all leads is just raw materials.
Absolutely,
coming in through the door. Yeah. And of course, what's the first thing you do with raw materials? You then sort that out into where's it going to go, what level of quality is it, all those kinds of things. So you're doing exactly the same as you do with your manufacturing
100%.
And your products as you do with your digital. And I think ultimately, if you can measure and manage that lead generation aspect, that's so important, and to make sure you don't miss anything as well that comes in through the door.
And you've just explained beautifully why somebody might listen to this and think, "Oh, I haven't got a budget for this."
Yeah.
Yes. But that's because we don't create budgets a lot for marketing in manufacturing, precision engineers. They typically don't do that. Yes. But what you've just described is, why you don't need a big budget. We can explain and help someone realise that they can invest X amount to creating a investment vehicle to get their marketing working for them.
Absolutely. When I was writing the book, I did some research because I'm a chartered member of the Institute of Marketing.
Yeah, you might want to remember that going forward, Carl.
Yeah, I do. I should do. What was it again? And essentially, what they were talking about from marketing budgets point of view is all this research that they'd done, and they allowed me, they gave me permission to put some of these figures into my book. But essentially, an SME manufacturer should be investing between 5 and 10% of their annual revenues in marketing. Now, when I go into most companies, they're investing 0.5% of revenues into marketing.
Yeah.
I.e., they've had a new website, they did an exhibition stand once and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But essentially, you should be considering those kinds of investments. Now, a really good, well-structured digital marketing strategy can come well within that. That
100%.
That investment, and secondly, as well, because it's tax deductible anyway, relative to your business, then at some level it's going to pay back. And so I think essentially it is then about looking at that and thinking to ourselves, yes, we need to allocate that, because marketing's not an afterthought. Marketing's not something you do when you've spent on everything else. It's part of a very important strategic mix of investments that you make right across your company, both operationally, machine staffing, all those kinds of things. And I think where people fall into is that they think that's just an afterthought. It's just something you do if you've got a bit left over, instead of thinking it as almost a mandatory aspect of your investment. And not only that, but when you're looking down your budgets for the year, as it were, you should, if you're going to shave something off your marketing, well, you should be shaving something off somewhere else to make sure you've still got something left relative to those ratios in terms of what your marketing investment. And it's not marketing costs, it's marketing investment in the future of your business.
Yeah, and what I would say to that, Carl, is that is 100% 101 of business.
Yes.
Yeah. Any business school, any business degree would tell you that's what you do.
Yes.
But typically most business owners don't do that, or they don't want to hear it.
I think it's an optional extra.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they might say, well, you might say that anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. But once again, I'm going to bring in the analogy of big business against small business.
Yeah.
You don't see a big company like Apple not having investment in marketing. They don't go, well, we're one of the richest companies on the planet.
Yeah, that's that done.
Yeah, well,
we can forget that now. We'll just carry on making stuff for people who carry on buying them.
We've brought out that
We've
new
earned
iPhone.
our place.
That's right. Yeah. What do we need some marketing company for?
Yeah.
They don't do that. They invest millions into all kind of marketing, brand marketing, direct marketing, all sorts of marketing, year in, year out. So it's not a case of us saying it. Just look around at what the best businesses do.
One of the great definitions I heard was off a guy named Brian Tracy, and he says that if you boil down marketing's ultimate role is to make sales unnecessary. Yeah. So if you get the right marketing in place, then in a sense, what do you need sales for? Let's give you a great example. So Apple launch a new iPhone, the latest iPhone, whatever it is, and they've got people camping outside on the day of the launch or the night of the launch, ready to go in and buy their iPhone. Now, how much training does that person need to sell that iPhone? How much sales training do they need? All they got to be is a bouncer to keep the customers out. That's right, because the marketing's so good that there's almost, it's just ching, 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 isn't it? So obviously, I think that's a great definition. Perhaps you'll never get to that place other than if you're Apple or whatever. But that thought process is, if you can get that marketing so good that almost, back to what you said earlier, the sales process is just a conversion process. Then that's where you want to ultimately be.
Well, I think there's a lot more we can say, Carl, but I think we've given everybody enough food for thought, as you were.
Hopefully they've got some...
Okay, I hope they've enjoyed listening to us two West Midlanders, and our accents have been irritated them too much.
Actually, I've got to tell you that one of the guys that bought my books, and a client that I worked in, he says, I bought your book off Amazon. He says, I really enjoyed it. Can you come and see me? And when I went in to see him, he says, it's great to actually find an author that's from Wolverhampton instead of America or London or, wherever it is.
Well, tell him Noddy Holden's still alive.
Absolutely, yeah. So...
Brilliant. Well, I've enjoyed it, Carl.
Yeah, lovely time.
We'll be following this up for
Yeah.
manufacturers, engineering.
We should do some more of these. Yeah.
We're definitely going to do some more, dive into some more detail and and more specifics for them. But until then, look, please listen out for the next one, and bye from me.
Yeah, and bye from me.
Okay, bye-bye.